right. You need to tilt it down so it's pointing at you.
Sorry.
There you go. Oh, but much better.
I've had 2 1.5 ounce. I'm going to fucking break this again. Not break it, but I knocked it off the lamp.
There was one day I was sitting here and the whole microphone just fell out and I was like, oh shit, I tilted it too far.
I mean, we'll just buy another one. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
What's money?
It's good. It's fine. No, they still work. We're good.
Guys, just make sure you're listening to our ads.
Yeah. Welcome to Drunk Bitches Be Like. I'm Brandy.
I'm Mindy.
And this is all about 2 women, a few beers, some tipsy stories, and some drunk ideas.
Welcome. So, sorry, I'm just going to say this. We're not going to say which ad it is, and I'm not going to use the guy's name, but there is an ad. We don't get to pick the ads.
No.
There is an ad that El Conquistador let me know about, and he was like, are you aware that this heating and air company has an ad on your podcast? And I was like, no, I mean, like, these advertising companies choose that they can be on adult mature.
Yeah.
They choose, I think it's like an NSFW.
Yeah, we mark that we have an explicit podcast, and then we say that we're willing to have ads, and then they place the ads. We have no control over that.
And we also say that we'll take ads that are adult focused, like Planned Parenthood or whatever. So he was like, are you aware that this company is one of the advertisers? And I was like, no. So it's a big deal because this guy made some very racist statements, and it's a local company.
Yeah.
Made some very racist statements like back in 2016, 2017 at the beginning of the height of MAGA.
Yeah.
And he's big MAGA. So he made like some super racist comments, and then he doubled down on it. And then he was like, I don't remember if he was like, I'm going to give discounts to, like, I don't remember. Like he kind of tried to focus his business at other MAGA people. And so I thought it was hysterical because we are a far left podcast and he is on the other side, and we're going to make pennies off of him.
Yeah.
But if you hear the heating and air conditioning advertisement and you're local, there are so many other companies that you would go with. Please
just go elsewhere.
Don't give him your money. We went on about this. I went on about this on our last podcast. We had to cut it all out because I was like, ooh.
I chopped all of it, and it was very sad when I had to, because I really enjoyed it, because it was actually pretty funny, the going off part. But we were, because it was at the end of the podcast, which meant we were especially drunk, because we start out drunk, but we keep drinking while we're recording.
Right.
So
so I was like, is it slander or libel? I think it's slander. Wait, it's not slander if it's my opinion. However,
we also don't have a huge following and don't want to get cut off the air just for,
I don't have money. Yeah. I also am not an LLC. Maybe I'll do that.
Oh.
Because we need to... I would love for somebody to sue us if we were an LLC, and I would be like, here's the $10 in our PayPal account.
Here you go. That's what you got.
We've gotten paid one time for ads. We are coming up on the end of our second year, and we've gotten $11 one time because they automatically pay you out.
Yeah, once you hit $10.
They do an automatic payout. Like it's 30 days after you hit that amount. So if I think it was like $11.07, and it probably took 30 days to get that 7 cents.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, whatever, sue us for $10.
Yep, that's fine.
I mean, if you want me to do the whole 21, I'm not keeping books because I don't think anything before the LLC counts.
No.
But yeah, I'll give you $10.
I mean,
to stay out of court. I don't want to pay court fees. But yeah, we cut it out because,
And on that topic, since we don't make a lot of money, tell all your friends that you like us and they should listen to us.
Yeah.
Because then we'll make like extra like 5 pennies, and that's fun.
Or if you have right-leaning friends, tell them so that they can hate listen to us. I'm okay with a good hate listen. I'm all right. You can even tweet me and I'll be like, hey, fuck off.
Yeah, that's true. If you tweet us, it's Mindy replying, because I don't tweet.
I try and put my initial at the end of everything.
And even if you don't, it's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm cool with everything you post. I don't.
You have no idea what I post on Twitter.
Oh no, I get alerts.
Oh, do you?
For some reason, I set up notifications for Twitter. So I get like the little drop down notifications on my phone, like when tweets happen.
Nice.
Yeah. So
one of the tweets that I posted this week was a meme, and it's this woman in a bed, and she was like, have you ever taken a nap so good that you thought you missed the school bus, but you're 50 years old and it's the weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. I really have. I'm not 50, but I've had that.
I feel like K through 12 traumatizes you.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, when I was in K through 12, I remember falling asleep on the bus on the way home and missing my bus stop, and then having to get off like 2 stops later when I finally woke up, and then having to for some reason, not that I had to, because there wasn't a time limit on this shit, but like I felt like I had to run home. So I would like sprint home because I was 2 bus stops later, which was still only like, I don't know, 6 blocks. But like I would sprint home because I'm like, oh my God, I missed my stop and I'm so far away, which it wasn't that far. But
I mean, if you run, you're outrunning the kidnappers, right?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I don't know. In my brain, there was like this timeline. I was supposed to be home at this time and I missed my stop. Oh. So I got to like sprint to get there in the timeline that I like made up in my mind.
Yeah, I was in kindergarten, and my mom had me going to a specific babysitter so I could be at a different elementary school. Because they were like on opposite ends of the Jamestown spectrum. So she had me going to this babysitter, and like the first day I was riding the bus driver was pulling up to stop. So in this community, it's a lake community. They just do like a general bus stop at the end of certain streets.
Yeah.
And so the bus driver was like, "Is this where you live?" And I'm like, "Nope." "Is this where you live?" "Nope." "Is this where you live?" "Nope." Had to take me back to school and call my mom. No. And my mom came and got me. And my mom was like, "Well, it's not where she lives." No, I feel like, I don't know. You guys probably got a little more. Oh no, we talked about this. You got way more parenting than I got.
Yeah.
I mean, no, actually, my mom and dad were stricter about weird things. Than your parents were.
And so we were having this discussion. So we've talked about darts before, that we play darts together, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we were having this discussion the other night at darts, and I feel like this was a thing that like we didn't write down, but I'm bringing it up now. But we were talking about
it's
how
our show, we can do what we want.
We were talking about how when people have kids, there are certain people who, when they have children, they like almost like, you're married, you're a couple. Mm-hmm. And then you have children, and like the amount of attention that you spend on the children versus the amount of attention that you spend on your relationship, in some relationships are very disproportional.
Right.
And we were having this discussion at darts the other night with another person on our team. And my thing is that when we were born, and my mom fully admit this because we've talked before, and my parents got divorced when I was, I think, 9.
Yeah.
And they both got remarried and everything else. And
because your parents are great friends.
They are. And they're good friends.
And also your mom mothers him.
Yes. Which also is kind of just my dad's personality, though. Like, right. I feel like that's what he needs.
Yeah.
Like, as a human. And we'll talk about that later with the eye thing.
Yeah.
But she fully admitted, I had a very frank conversation with her later in life when I was an adult, and she was married to her second husband, about us growing up and the way that she raised her kids and everything else. And she said, when I had you kids, the second I started having children, the children became the priority in my life. And she put all of her attention and devotion and everything on raising the kids and making sure that we were okay and we had everything we needed and everything else, and completely disregarded her relationship that she had with my dad.
Yeah.
And I feel like it took over so much that their relationship then became a secondary thing.
Yeah.
And we were having this conversation about how, like, when you have kids, there are some couples that are very good at still keeping that, like, their relationship is number one. Yeah. They're dynamic. And then the kids are secondary, which I understand where, like, you could get, like, in that motion where the kids are, like, number one because you're raising a human and everything else. But, like, after 18 years, they're leaving. And then you're going to be back with that person.
And then what do you have?
Yeah. And then what are you, like, that's...
You're
like,
strangers.
Yeah. Your relationship has completely dissolved because you spent all your time like looking after the kids and like making sure that they were okay. And then it's like all of a sudden you have to focus on the adults again.
Yeah. And also I think it leads to contradiction in the home.
Yeah.
Like my parents were us first, you second.
Yeah.
And it's not like they neglected me. It's just that they hung out without me. They did things like I went to my grandparents every other weekend religiously. Also religiously because they made me go to church, but but they had a focus on themselves, and it was if there was a dispute, if I did something wrong, if I was being corrected, it was them against me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. It was just like they made a decision and they were going to stand by it.
Yeah.
And my dad is very much a go ask your mother.
Right. Which I think is good.
Because they never wanted me to play off of each other.
Yeah.
So 100% it was go ask your mom.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And I feel like growing
Also,
up,
you got to be the good guy all the time.
all the time. Well, and I feel like my dad got to be the good guy all the time, but like in their dynamic, there was never any communication on their part. It was like mom would lay down the rules, and then we would go to dad and be like, mom's doing this. And he'd be like, I don't know. And so like he was there, and he was there as the shield when disciplinary action was happening. But also it wasn't good that he was a shield because yes, it was nice because if she was like going off the handle and like completely insane, but also I understand why she's going insane because she's getting no backup from that side.
And that also should be a conversation they have privately. I mean, I don't have kids, but having been a kid, my parents didn't disagree in front of me.
Oh, mine. Yeah.
So if something happened and my dad was like this, there was an incident where we've talked about this. I cut all my hair off the day before Easter.
Oh,
I mean, just on one side. I was pulling, my mom put my hair in like these orange can, we used to call them orange can curlers, the giant plastic curlers.
Things. Yeah.
And I hated it because it just...
None of us liked it.
Also, I think my mom was perming my hair at that point. So.
I got perms every year until I was like 10.
It starts with an Olga perms. Aside, in order to get me to perm my hair because of how bad it stinks, I got to have a jar of maraschino cherries. So fucking sugaring your kid up and putting curls in their hair.
I did not get treats.
She put these giant curlers in my hair. And I started grabbing them from the underside. Like she would be like, go get your pajamas. So I'd stop by the bathroom on the way and cut a curl off. Like, I mean, cut the whole
thing off. So you didn't have to like have the roller in there.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, she had taken the rollers out. So I was just like sneakily cutting.
Okay.
Until I got to the outside of my hair and she could notice it. And my, play aunt, whatever you want to call her, had to come at like 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday and cut my hair into a pixie because that's how bad I had fucked up my hair. My dad, because my mom was so upset, my parents did corporal punishment, which now I'm like child abuse, but in the 70s it was.
I mean,
anyway, everybody did it in the 70s. I mean, my dad
early 80s that
whipped
too.
my ass to the point where my mom was like, you have to stop. And he only got emotional about it because my mom was upset.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that she intervened. But typically, if she set a punishment that was extreme or unreasonable or whatever, if my dad found it unreasonable, the punishment stood until they would talk separately.
Yeah.
Or talk to each other away from me, and then the punishment might be modified.
Right.
But there was always the punishment.
Yeah.
Just might be modified. But I also feel like I, again, never saw my parents like fight. My parents held hands when they would go out in public. They were affectionate in public. And I had friends whose parents were never affectionate with each other. I didn't see some of my friends' parents in the same room ever. From like kindergarten, high school, never saw their parents in the same room.
So my parents were in the same room and stuff, but like as far as being affectionate and stuff like that, I don't remember any of that. But as far as the corporal punishment thing, like I feel like that was always my mom's role, and I feel like she really resented the fact that she was the only parent that would like lay down any rules or laws or like do any punishment, because dad was always like the softy and like he was the one that it was like we would run behind to like hide from the punishment that we were about to get. But like it was never that he disagreed with the punishment, really. Like he wouldn't be like, no, this is wrong. And like, that's not what they fought about. But it was always like, we would just stand there and like, he didn't really have, it didn't seem like he had an opinion.
Yeah.
And so it was always very much so like, but the way that it came off was like, they're clearly not on the same page, but we also couldn't pull the shit where it was like, go to dad and ask for things versus mom ask for things.
Yeah.
Because like dad was always like, ask your mom.
Yeah.
And so like, it was
Even
always
when they got divorced.
Yeah.
Ask your mom.
So yeah, it was.
I don't know what the rules are here.
Yeah.
But whatever her rules are, our rules.
Yeah. Well, and even when they got remarried, both of them got remarried within.
Not to each other.
Yeah. No, not to each other.
We've also talked about this. Stepmom wouldn't let you come home from Vegas.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even when they got remarried, it was like, okay, so like the stepdad was very understanding of the situation. And he's very much so like they're your kids, which with my mom, I don't think it would have been any other way anyway. But even with my dad, like in his house, like she ran the house.
Yeah.
Like stepmom ran the house. So it was like stepmom's rules. So it was always very much so like even when you're visiting dad's house, it didn't feel like dad's house because it was always like stepmom's house.
That sucks.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so I'm walking into a place where I'm like, you know, dad doesn't really have a say because it's stepmom's house. Like, it doesn't matter that like he owns half of the place because it's her rules. And I kind of just went with things because I kind of learned how to be a chameleon early in life. But my sister did not
go along to get along.
She very much so was. I mean, she was very angry when we were kids, and I totally understand where she's coming from.
Because she's older than you, right?
She's older than me, like 19 months, so not too much older, but like definitely I understood. Like, you know, she didn't get along with stepdad when we were younger, even though he's like sweetest man ever. And now they get along great, which is fantastic because as older adults, like she's very much so he's just very helpful and nice and whatever. But like, you know, back in the day, she's like, he replaced my dad. And I was just like, I got like 3 parents now. That means more presents. Like, fuck. But it felt very much so like when we were at home with mom, it was like, okay, mom rules the house and mom will always rule. Like of the 4 parents we had, mom's like upper echelon. Oh, she's always going to be
the
like,
top of the pyramid.
Top of the pyramid. Yeah. Always will be, always has been. Like, that's just like, that's where she lives.
Yeah.
And then it felt like stepdad was like, I don't know, he came in 3rd or 4th, which felt bad because he was a super nice dude and I loved him. But like, you know, he was always very understanding as a step parent. Like, oh no, I have no place in this.
And he had his own kids.
Yeah, and he had his own kids to parent, and they were much older than us. And so he was just like, you know, this is Kim's rules and whatever else. And then with dad and stepmom, it was like dad marries a very
dominant, controlling woman.
Yeah. And so it was like you go to dad's house and it's like, well, clearly she's in charge.
Yeah.
And
did she have her own kids?
She had 1 kid.
So she just resented your existence.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like, and it was like, I feel like she got jealous a lot.
Is she one of those women who like your mom gave her no reason to, like your mom wasn't threatening her relationship?
Always a reason to dislike my mom. Not because she was threatening a relationship. But there's always a reason to dislike my mom. My mom is a controlling person. She likes things the way she likes them. And there are certain rules that she has about her kids. And I feel like that's where it comes in because my mom was that parent that as soon as she had kids, it was all about the kids.
Yeah.
And so there were certain rules and things like that she thought should be followed with the children. And stepmom was very like flagrant with rules. Although stepmom was also not very welcoming with the whole, she didn't want us as kids. She wanted us as friends once we were drinking age.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, once we became drinking age, then all of a sudden stepmom was like, oh yeah, I'm cool with you.
So you guys were annoying up until then.
Yeah, we were annoying up until then.
And by then your sister was like, fucking die.
We were a hindrance on her relationship and everything else. And so it was like, okay. And she was just, I mean, at the end, she was just a bitch because after 20 years, she left my dad and cheated on him. And the reason he found out is because he logged into her iPad one night because it was dinging and he was up in the middle of the night because he's older and he had to pee and, you know. So he opened it and there's naked pictures and videos and all kinds of shit. Oh, yeah. All kinds of stupid shit.
I was like, what is the flying dot in front of me? I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah, no, there's a net. But yeah, so stepmom was awful. Always has been, always will be. And my dad's a gem of a human being, but also not like completely lack of flaws because he has some.
Right.
I recognize that. But also he is now living with my stepbrother, who is her kid. He never adopted. That is not his child, but also grew up with him for 20 years. And so that's his dad. And, you know, I'm cool with that. And that's great. But also my dad's getting older. And my stepbrother is much, much younger. Because my stepmother was 13 years younger than my dad.
So do you guys have a plan for him? So your brother is specially abled?
Yes,
or differently abled? I don't want to be ableist, but anyway.
He has cerebral palsy. And we've talked about cerebral palsy before. There's different like degrees of it and whatever else.
Right.
So physically, he's partially disabled. Mm-hmm. Mentally, he is, I would say mentally, he's probably about half his age.
Okay.
And he is only, I would say he's 31.
All right. Yeah.
So he's, you know, he understands things. He's good, like whatever else. But like he asked me last year, actually, he finally got to the point where he understood what was happening and understood that at some point my dad is getting older.
Yeah.
And so he's not going to be able to live in the house forever because he didn't move when my stepmother moved out because, you know, he didn't want to go with her. He thought she was evil and doesn't like her house. And she had pigs for a while and didn't like the pigs. Like there's a whole thing.
I've been around a pig farm. Smells like pig shit.
Yeah. No,
you can't get rid of the smell. It's
also,
in your hair.
As a part-time thing, her and her new husband cook barbecue professionally as a like profession.
Well, I mean, that makes sense if you have pigs.
They had the like 2 little potbelly pigs that just died from like, I don't know, old age or something. Like not even old age because they weren't that old.
Yeah.
I don't know. The neglection. I don't know. Probably. But
neglection.
Anyway, they probably didn't get fed well enough. I don't know. Like she clearly doesn't know how to take care of a child. Because my stepbrother like basically lived with his grandparents for the first 5 years of his life because she was in college. And then as soon as she got him and was taking care of him, she met my dad and then they got married. And then I feel like dad took care of the kid and she just partied and did whatever the fuck she wanted to.
Fucked around, apparently.
Yep. Fucked around. So, you know, it's just a whole thing. So I know my dad's like got his faults and everything else, but like he's been very good. But my stepbrother last year, he asked me, he had us come down to his room, which is a big deal because he never comes out of his room because he has like 5 fucking TVs and PS5s and like all the things. And he doesn't need to leave his room. He can sit in a wheelie chair and just like turn around and see all the things. But he asked me and my sister to help him find an apartment or whatever else where he could live and that he liked that. So he didn't have to move in with his mom.
Oh, that's
if something happened to dad.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to work on that. I will say around here it is very difficult.
Right.
So
well, if he doesn't have an income, if he's getting disability,
he's getting Social Security.
So he should be able to get like all of the assistance.
Right.
My husband and I were talking about this last night. Like there are some people who take advantage of some stuff, but not all of the stuff. And I'm like, look, if you were at a point where you need assistance, you've paid into this like your entire life, just like Medicare. You pay your state taxes and that's where it goes to. Take all of the assistance that you can get. Take what you're eligible for. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. And so I feel like, but also moving into Section 8 housing leaves him open to some. It's not all Section 8 housing is
well, and
equal.
My thing is that he can't, there are certain things he can't do for himself. So he definitely needs assistance throughout the day.
So he also should be able to get some type of caretaking.
Right. But the thing is that
I think they call it it's not a nurse.
Right. But he needs some kind of, and that's the problem is that he, like I could find an assisted living place for him. No problem. But he doesn't want to live in a place like that because he doesn't want to feel like
it smells like piss.
Yeah. He's not an old person. He's not 60. Like, you know, he's not retired. He's not of age where he's starting to, he wants to live in a place where he can like have his own apartment and like, feel like a human being, just has a community, but also has access to people that can help him when he needs help.
Yeah.
And so that's been very hard to find. And I think I have a lead on a couple of places. So I'm still like researching things, but
also think about the combination of, there are some income-based housing. So if he can get an income-based place, plus if Medicaid would pay for an assistant to come in during the daytime. And typically what they're there for is to like cook meals. I forget what the hell the name of it's called, but they can cook meals. They can help clean up. They can technically help him if he needs like help with bathing or whatever. They can do all of that. So it might not be like an assisted living situation, but, the apartment should be cheap,
but he could have his own apartment where he could,
And I feel like I don't know how much he gets in disability, but I think it's like a $21,000 limit. Or no, I take that back. Not limit as to like the minimum. When we were looking at apartments, there were some really nice apartments on your way south of Dayton, south of wherever the place I live is. And my friend was in the Air Force, and we were like, oh, these are cool. We didn't know they were assisted or they were income controlled.
Yeah.
And they were like, you cannot have, two of you cannot combined have more of an income than $24,000 a year. And I was like, oh, well, that's...
I used to live in one of those places. So there was apartments that was south of town that I used to live in that I loved. They were fantastic. I would walk in my front door and I had a coat closet.
Are they the ones are they the ones across from LexisNexis?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's what we looked at. Cause
loved those
fucking huge apartments. And
I had
Berber
a
carpet.
2-bedroom apartment that was upstairs, lofted, big ceiling, and the 2 bedrooms on either side of the apartment, walk-in closets, lovely bathroom. Lived there for a year. Loved it. Had to move out because they gave me a fucking raise at work and it put me over the poverty line.
Do you know what the lady told us when we went in there? She said, this is gaming the system so hard. She was like, get a part-time job someplace like Walmart and give us those stubs. Because they don't require, at the time, they didn't require you to give them your tax statements, your W-2s. She was just like, get a part-time job at Walmart and give those to us as...
And not your other job.
Right.
Oh, shit. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I moved in, I was making like $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I qualified. They gave me a fucking raise. And at that point in time, if you made over $23,000, you didn't qualify. I made $23,500. They gave me a raise.
Shit.
And I was like, no, I almost don't want the raise because then my rent went up like by $250 a month.
That sucks.
And I was like, I can't afford to live here anymore.
Yeah, no, we looked for that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I hope you find a place for him. And if anybody is listening and you're local and you know of something, just reach out to me on Twitter or email.
I think I found a place down in Lebanon that looked kind of like it was like a community where they had like a bus that would take you places
like a
and do
group
stuff.
Home that's not a group home.
Yeah, it was basically kind of like a group home, but instead of a home, it was like a community where everybody had their own apartments, but they had like a community center that was part of the community and everything.
It's too bad he's not like 65 because there's
I know, right?
There's that Otterbein.
Oh.
Every time I drive by there, I'm like,
my God.
I don't know if I want a new house. I don't know if I want to move into a house with property or just age into Otterbein.
Well, hell, it's
very expensive.
There's a community in Miamisburg that has like they're all brick ranch homes, but you pay the HOA and it includes snow removal. They do all your landscaping. They do all the like lawn mowing. Like they shovel your walkways, your driveways, like. They do all of the things, and all you do is you get to live in the house, and then you just like you pay an HOA fee every year that takes care of all the other shit outside, so you don't have to do any of it.
Nice.
And I'm like, there's no age requirement either, but there is a waiting list to get on those houses.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I'm like, I really want to start, like, I want to get on the waiting list now.
Part of me wanted to, I still want property because we want the dogs and I would like to go back to fostering. But also part of me is like, I would love to move into a 55 and up community because you can't have kids there.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if my husband can be there.
Oh, no, he can. If you're 55 and up, he can.
Okay.
Because this happened to my mom and my stepdad.
18.
Yeah. Because my mom and my stepdad, he's 13 years older than her. And so when he hit the age of whatever, when they like sold all their shit and like went and traveled in a fucking RV for like a year and a half.
Yeah. That sounds like heaven.
Fantastic. It was lovely. But then they found a community down in Florida that they wanted to... And it worked out for them well because they didn't have to pay rent on the land.
Nice.
Yeah. So they bought their little like park model home, whatever. But then they didn't have to pay rent for the land because he was a bus driver in his past life.
Oh.
So he would drive the bus with all the people to go to like the casino and shit and like all the little like expeditions that they would do. So he would do that and do like little fix 'em up stuffs around the park, and she would like whatever help out here and there. And so like they got free like land, whatever.
Oh, I need to talk to my father-in-law.
Yeah.
They are moving into a park home.
Yeah.
And they're going to store the RV. They're moving into a park home.
Nice.
This has been a weird progression.
Yeah.
But yay for them. And I feel like my father-in-law needs something to do.
Oh,
and we laugh about it because they're like, we're basically living in an adult daycare because there are arts and crafts and a wood shop. And
oh my God, I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Every time I'd go visit her, it's like, oh, Wednesday's euchre night and Thursday is shuffleboard and Friday we do this and we have a carry-in on Saturday. Yeah, it's like they did. They had water aerobics in the morning. There was a pool. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, my mother-in-law is super fit, and she's also.
But it was a 55 and over community, and she qualified because he was 65, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, it's just. Let's see. I'm only 5 years away from it, and our dogs aren't going to die in that time. I don't want my dogs to die, but like they're 6, 4, and 3.
Yeah, but I tell you what, the second I'm allowed to move into one of those communities, I'm fucking doing it.
Hell, he turns 55 first.
Hey, there you go. I mean, seriously, take advantage of that shit because, like, it seemed.
I mainly wanted to do it because of the social aspect.
Yeah.
So my grandparents, my mom's parents, and my mom is social, but not in the way that like I am social. So when my grandmother went into a rehab center, I was like, hey, let's go down to like where the people are. Like you should be taking dinner in the room, the dining room. And she was like, I don't want to be around all those old people. She was like 89 at the time.
Oh my God. Do you know how many like knitted quilts and things my mom has from living there? They had a quilting class like on Tuesdays.
Nice.
She would go take, and like she made some things. She got some things from people. Like
that's fantastic.
I have so many blankets and shit like from that. I love it.
Oh, my mom crochets. So I just bought more jumbo space saver bags because I'm going to put them in storage instead of keeping them in the basement.
There you go.
Yeah. So I love a space saver bag now. Like I can't live without them.
Yeah, they're great.
My husband was like, you know what came with the manual pump? Because when we went to my sister-in-law's house, they have just the stick vacuum.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I will make this shit work. Like it's got a square opening and the vacuum bag has a round thing.
Circle.
And I was like, and I had taken my huge pillow. So
I feel like this is 2-year-old math. You can't put the square in the circle. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but my mom used to crochet. She was a prolific crocheter. Now that I go to all of these like craft shows and shit like that, we went to the Apple Festival in Lebanon. It was just a damn craft show. But we got to have like apple cider, and had an apple cider slushy.
Oh,
would have been great with rum in it.
Oh no. At the wine bar I work at.
Yeah.
This weekend, actually, I think she's putting it on apple slushies and a shot of Fireball in it. So it's going to be a cinnamon apple.
I feel like I would vomit, but I might try
it. Don't taste you don't taste the Fireball as much because all it does is make the apple slushy cinnamony.
Okay.
And so it's lovely.
Awesome.
When he came out, there was a good 4 minutes where he just stood there.
You went to see Lewis Black.
Yeah. And like he stood there for 4 minutes because he just stood there because people just kept yelling shit in the audience. And it was like, okay. And he was like, well, I mean, this is great. I don't have to, like, this is just like cutting me down. I don't have to like do anything. And so then like he let it die down a little bit. And he like,
people were shouting this dude down.
Well, not shouting him down, but they were just shouting things like, we love you and whatever else. And like, so they're just shouting at him. And then he finally got into the thing and he was like, look, here's the thing. There's going to be some things that I say that some of you are not going to like. But here's the thing. There's never been anything I've said in my entire life that has changed anything. So if you get that upset about it, that's on you because like there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to do anything. And so like he did this whole like 5-minute thing explaining what he was going to talk about and not like giving topics that he was going to talk about, but basically saying, look,
these are my ideas.
Yeah.
Or my ideation.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to say some things and it might upset you, but like the other audience members don't give a shit about you. So like, and he ended it by basically saying, so shut the fuck up.
Nice.
Just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, great. So like everybody quieted down and then he got to start into his thing. Right. But then there was this like one dude in the audience downstairs, and we were like in the balcony, like 3 rows back, which was actually kind of perfect because we were in the perfect position. The tickets weren't as expensive, and like you could see him perfectly. You could hear everything. It was fantastic.
Because the balcony at Schuster like extends out.
Well, and we weren't even at Schuster. We were at Victoria Theater.
Oh, yes. That's littler.
Yeah, it's a smaller venue. And so like we were like, it still felt like you were right there. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Sometimes balcony seats are great because they put you almost like at the back of the floor seats.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is we were in, so the first part of the balcony at Victoria.
I don't want to sit under the balcony.
No. But the first 3 rows of the balcony at Victoria are in their own section.
Nice.
And then like there's a little gap for the like, you know, the hall, and then there's more. We were in the 3rd row, so we were like up against the back, which was great.
Cool.
And it's stadium seating, so like you can clearly see over top of anybody in front of you.
Nice.
Doesn't matter how tall they are. And we were like, I don't know, middle right. So like you could see everything perfectly. It was fantastic. But there was this one dude that you could tell was on the left side down below, and he just kept yelling shit.
And he should have been on the right side.
Oh my God. Yes, he should have been on the right side, because
had he never seen him before?
Well, and that's my thing. And basically, like that's in his
Did
spiel.
Somebody bring you?
I don't know. In his 5-minute spiel, he was like, "Look, if you've never seen me before, that's on you, because I've been out there for many, many years."
I feel like people like that probably saw him 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And they saw his IHOP bit and his Starbucks bit, and they thought, "Oh, I like this guy." Well, he's always been political.
Yeah.
There are so many people who are coming after artists, musicians, comedians, and they're like, "I liked you better before you were not political." If George Carlin were alive, somebody would say, "I liked you better when you weren't political."
Yeah.
Lewis Black has always been political.
Yeah.
He's always been, he's part of a marginalized community. He is as Jewish can get.
Yeah.
He is an older man. I mean, he has always been pro people.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And even like, and honestly, like if you really listened to his set that he was doing while we were there, the politics that he brought up and stuff, like he brought up political like topics, but the jokes he was making were not political. They weren't one side or the other. He was just making fun of things that were political.
But you know, that's where the separation is that so I love the points that some people make, because I would make the same point, which is the people who are like, well, are you happy with Biden? Are you happy with what you got? Not entirely. No, but I wasn't happy with your person. And here's the thing. You couldn't criticize your person, but we criticize our persons.
Right.
Because we're not in a cult.
Right.
When people were like, I forget what the governor is saying, Cuomo. When they were like, Cuomo, so I guess you're, or something about Cuomo getting fired. And they're like, so what do you think about that now? We're like, he should be fired.
He should have been fired.
Yeah. I mean, I like Al Franken, but he should have. I mean, I'm glad he quit, because you did some inappropriate shit.
Right.
And we're going to call you on your bullshit.
Right.
But your dude is doing some fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
Possibly not triage. Treasonous bullshit, stealing stuff. Oh, and he's not getting his way. And so now he doesn't want the special master, because special master's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But you're right. Lewis Black is very much like, it's an equal opportunity.
Oh yeah. There was at one point
shitty people on both sides.
He literally at one point made fun of every president within the past, like, I don't know, 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like he brings up political subjects, but he was very, I feel like,
balanced,
fair and balanced down the road when he was, but like the second he brought up, and he didn't even say Trump, he just brought up the past presidency and said something, repeated something that the past president had said. Didn't even make a joke about it yet. Literally just repeated something that he had said. And this dude in the audience starts yelling at him and then says, "Let's go, Brandon." And oh my God, he just fucking went off. He walked away from the microphone, and you could tell that it wasn't part of the skit because, like, you know, he'll walk back to the microphone and he'll say some shit into the microphone to like yell at people or whatever else because that's he gets angry and yells,
like
and that's part of his thing.
About like going to Stephen Lynch.
Yeah,
it seems spontaneous,
right?
But they practice that shit for a long time.
Right. So there's some shit that you know is built in. This was not, because he walked away from the microphone, walked up to the front of the stage and spoke directly to that human being, and you could barely hear what he was saying, but he was like, you know, talking to him, and then he comes back to the mic and he goes, and he also, Brandon himself said stop saying it, so stop fucking saying it. Yeah. And it was like he was pissed, and you could tell, and it's like, and then he stopped and he was like, now I gotta figure out where the fuck I was in my bit. And he like walks away from the mic again, goes to the back of the stage, is like walks around, comes back up, and he's like, all right, I think I remember. Okay, all right. And
he's
then he
also
has
like 80 years old.
Yeah, and like he has to reset himself because, like, you know, as comedians, you have like kind of a script in your head of like the things that lead into other things. And so it's like all of us are sitting there waiting for like the next joke to come, and it's like, oh, well, you just took fucking 10 minutes out of his time.
Right.
And now he has to remember where the fuck he was in his whole program to get back into it to lead into the next joke, because like the way that they do things as comedians is like they'll tell one joke that leads into another joke that like leads into another thing. And that's how they
ends
do
up
it.
back like an hour, and that's what wraps it. Yeah.
And you wrap it up because you lead back into the thing you started with. And so like he had to take a whole, like, there was a full 20 minutes where he had to go yell at the guy and then figure out where the fuck he was and like come back to it and like all this other, and it's like, dude, can you just shut the fuck up? Like he told you at the beginning to just shut the fuck up.
I feel like people have probably on both sides, but definitely on one side, but I'm biased, have forgotten how to be a society.
Yeah.
Like you don't. So first of all, the First Amendment just keeps the government from coming after you. If somebody wants to take away your fucking Twitter because you're saying like shit, Twitter can do what they want to do.
Oh yeah.
I feel like Twitter should tell Elon Musk to fuck off.
Oh my God. I wish they would.
You fucked it up. You don't get to be here. Like they can't be that desperate to sell it. It has to be making money. Otherwise he wouldn't be offering $44 billion for it. And he could take that money and do something useful. But he's
Wouldn't
not
that be
going
nice?
to. Oh,
yeah,
no. So nice. But people have forgotten how to act in a society. We went to a comedy show recently and it's local. People have forgotten how to just politely chuckle.
Yeah. Like, you know, I don't want to ice out the person. Just like, just give him a polite little chuckle. You don't have to like laugh your ass off, but just give him a little, like, you know, little hand clap.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I don't, anything like to give no energy sucks. However, if you're going to a comedy show or if you're contemplating going to a comedy show, go on YouTube.
Yeah.
Listen to like what their biggest bits are. There are people who show up. And now I think it's for clout. There's a comedian named Steve Hofstetter. And he has videos of him just destroying hecklers. But I think now people, I all of a sudden became like South London. I think what you got going on. Now I think people are there just for the clout and the like, you know, I want to make it to the thing. But there are people who heckle him. Well, here's what you need to know. I paid to see this person. The rest of us paid to see this person. If you got drug along, it's different. So when our friend Jody came to Stephen Lynch with us, she had no concept. We were all drunk at my wedding except for me. And she didn't remember the song that we danced to because I think she was in a different room, like our second song.
Yeah.
So she had no idea what to expect. I feel like taking somebody to that, perfectly cool, unless they're like a nun. You should probably gauge how cool your nun is. There's one thing to do that, but if you are looking at a comedian and you're not sure whether they're polarizing or not, you should probably go on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you're not sure what you're going to spend your money on. But if you spend your money on it and you don't like it, fucking leave. Nobody wants to hear you. I didn't pay to hear you.
That was my thing.
Pay to see you.
Yeah.
And somebody who's going to interrupt something like that, thank God he wasn't recording it.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Afterwards,
was he? Oh.
Well, so he does the whole thing, and he brought that up during the show, like before in the precursor, before he like got into his whole set. He was like, "Look, there are people in this audience who have paid good money to see this show, which was the precursor to Shut the Fuck Up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, like I paid probably $70 for the two of us to go see it.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot of money for tickets to go see a show these days.
I mean, it's more than going to the local comedy club.
But it is, but I was like, I paid money to come see this because I wanted to see him. And now I'm having to sit here for 20 minutes while he like berates you because you're an ass and decide to interrupt his show, and then like he has to find his place. And the whole thing I enjoyed, so it was fine, but also I'm like, if that happens every time, like the people in the audience who paid good money and the people who paid more money than me, there was actually one woman, which he does this thing at the end of his show. And he had an opener, and the opener guy was good too. But
when we saw him, the opener couldn't make it, so he had to do an extra 30 minutes. He was like, this just fucked up my entire plan.
The whole thing. It's just fucked. So the opener guy, like he came out and he opened and he did like just a half-hour set, and like, and then he like was the host. So like he came out and introduced him. And then afterwards, what they do is whenever Lewis does a comedy show, he does a live show on
the
Twitter
rant.
or something else. Yeah, the
Lewis
rant.
Black rant.
Yeah. Well, so he had to start it like 10 minutes late because of this dude and this ass in the fucking audience. And so then he gets on to the rant, and the rant is really what he does is at the beginning of the show, they tell you, hey, if you want to be a part of the rant, go onto this website. You can put in your like whatever and just like whatever. And the rant is him reading other people's rants.
Right.
So it's like not him going off. It's him reading other people's things that are happening and whatever else.
So like my rant would be after that guy was up there, but you couldn't submit it then, which is don't be a fucking child and say, let's go Brandon.
Right.
If you can't say fuck Biden.
Right.
You're an idiot, especially since you're you're the party of I can say what I want.
Yeah.
If it offends you, I don't really care. But you can't say fuck Biden.
There's a dude that lives down the street from me who has a fucking sign in his yard that says something in the hoe. He calls our vice president a hoe. It has been up for 3 years now.
I don't understand how this city lets that happen because they're very particular
about their shit. Yeah. Oh no, if I don't mow my yard, I'm going to get a fucking sign.
Right. And your partner can only put up a sign so big.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's ridiculous. But also my partner, when I asked him to go, I said, look, I really want to go see this comedian. I bought 2 tickets. You're my first person. So do you want to go with me? And he even said, can I have some time to think about it? And I said, absolutely. Go look him up online. Go watch some of his stuff. If you want to go, you're my first person. We're going to go. But if you don't want to go, I'm going to invite somebody else who will enjoy it more, because I don't want to take you to a thing that you're not going to enjoy. Probably, yes. Yeah. So I was like, all right. And then he came back after like 2 weeks and he was like, okay, I watched a couple of things. He was like, I didn't think I would enjoy him as much, but I feel like I'm good with it. And I said, okay, good. Then let's go have a date night and we'll go see him and whatever else. And we did. And he enjoyed it. And like I said, because his comedy is politically driven, but also he's not like super one way or the other when he actually
personally
delivers things.
He is, but he knows that that's not money.
Yeah. Like he'll come out and say, we have a gun problem. But then he will like bring out the comedy with the gun problem and say, look, I'm not trying to take away your guns, but this is like a clear indication. Like he read a news article from like 3 years ago about some dude who walked into church who was attending a church run program.
Oh yeah. That
on gun safety.
Oh no, I was thinking of that fucker in South Carolina.
Oh no.
Got Burger King.
This was it was a church run, like the church decided to put on a gun safety program. Dude walks into church with his wife who's in a wheelchair, and they're sitting there like listening to the gun safety program. Dude pulls out his gun at one point to like, I don't know what the fuck he was doing with it, accidentally like sets it off, shoots his fucking wife and his hand. Like he shoots
just karma.
Yeah, he shot through his hand, hit his wife who's in the wheelchair during the gun safety class because he forgot that it was loaded.
On safety.
Oh no, he forgot it was loaded. He was 80 years old.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like the whole thing. So he's reading through this thing and I'm like, this is not like, it's not comedy because like he didn't make this shit up. Like it's comedy because
it's absurd.
It's absurd. And he just found this thing that was like supporting some kind of an argument that like, hey, maybe there's an issue here.
Right.
And maybe this is a problem.
So my husband and I can tend to be on the opposite side of that because he's an enthusiast, but he's also not going, I guess in high school, somebody would have thought he was going to shoot up something, but he was a little broody. But he was kind of a loner. Actually, if anything happens to me suspicious, literally people are going to, if it's him, literally people are going to be like, he was so quiet and he kind of kept to himself.
I can totally see that, but also I don't think it ever hurt you.
No, absolutely not. I am probably one of the few reasons why he would shoot somebody. Me and 3 dogs are the...
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. He'd be like, you hurt Mindy.
Yeah. So I told you he ripped off one of the parts of our counter. We had a thing that stuck out on the peninsula and it was a nail that caught my toe and cut it. And he like went ham on the fucking counter.
If there's something that will hurt you, he will hurt it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, he and I kind of have a disagreement because we have the AR-15 disagreement.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with him having it. And he, like I've said before, he would comply if something happened. My problem is that why can you just go buy one willy-nilly?
Oh, yeah.
Like there should be, I don't think that gun shows should exist. I realize that they do background checks, but I feel like there's a loophole. I don't feel like there should be private sales unless you, I think in Ohio, you're supposed to go through, I forget what this thing is called.
Supposed to.
Right. Like there's people who can get a license and you can ship guns to them, but then you have to do a background check with them before you're allowed to have the gun.
Which costs money.
It's an FLA, something like that. Anyway, firearms. I don't care. But so we have kind of opposite views on certain parts of it because I'm like, maybe you shouldn't be able to have war type guns. You're not going to shoot a deer with it because that would obliterate them.
Right.
We know that because there were 7-year-olds who had their faces removed and had to get DNA to find out who their parents were.
Right.
So we can be on the opposite ends of that. But in general, we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And it's not...
it's not as political as everybody makes it.
Right. And so, I mean, I appreciate what he's doing because you should be able to talk about the absurdity of things. That's why the Daily Show works so well. It's because, yes, they have a lean.
Yeah.
But they also talk about both sides because when you do dumb shit, what is it? Play stupid games, get stupid prizes or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And fuck around and find out and what all of that shit is. Because they do say like shit happens on both sides.
It really does.
There's stupidity on both sides. You cannot get rid of guns.
No.
You can't get rid of guns.
No, we're never going to get rid of guns. And nor do I think that...
Also, some people haven't read the Second Amendment.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Second Amendment. Have you read it?
Yeah.
No.
I don't like guns. I personally don't want to have a gun, but like I'm fine with other people having guns, but there's also some restrictions that I feel like should be on guns. And the fact that there are people that don't think any restrictions should be on them is mind-boggling to me because I'm like, I have a car. I have to have insurance. I have to have a license. I have to have all these things to drive a fucking car. But like, you want to just willy-nilly be able to buy any gun that you want to at any time and point? Like, what?
And there should be a flag. Do you know that there's a flag on how much money you give somebody?
Yeah.
So if you send more than $10,000 out of the country, somebody's going to come visit you. I worked for a doctor who was sending money home to help take care of his family. And he was sending less than $10,000 at a time. But I had 2 men show up to the doctor's office, and I think we've talked about how lippy I can be with cops, white privilege and shit like that. But I will use my white privilege for somebody else too.
Yeah.
I will get lippy for a cop for you.
So I mean, do what you got to do.
So these 2 guys show up in suits and trench coats, looking very much like cartoons. And they were like, can we speak with this doctor? And I was like, we're seeing patients right now. If you'd like to make an appointment, that'd be fucking great. But I am half an hour behind with him.
Yeah.
And I can't have this happen. So if you want to come back tomorrow between 11:30 and 12:30, and wait until we finish with patients. Fantastic. So they leave, they come back the next day between 11:30 and 12:30 so they can follow rules.
Yeah.
And they have a conversation with him. They have an interview with him, and then they leave. And I was like, I'm sorry, but can I ask what that was about? And he said, well, because I'm from Syria and my family's in Syria, and because I send home X amount of dollars per year, that it got flagged.
They want to make sure you're not funding terrorism.
Right. Yeah. And he was like, no, I'm funding my sick mother.
Yeah.
So they left, but I was like, also part of me was like, oh, so I got shitty with the FBI. And he's like, yes, you did.
Fantastic.
Like, yay. Good for me.
Well, this leads into another interesting story.
Sorry. I wanted to ask, what did the lady send in? Because you were like, there's a lady who paid way more money for the ticket than I did.
So on the rant thing, like there was one lady who like went in and she ranted because she paid $700 for her 2 tickets to go see him.
Jesus.
Yeah. And he was like, my God, never do that. He was like, there are resellers and whatever else that are legitimate places. He was like, never go to this place or Ticket that place Hub. To buy like
I think
whatever.
It's called Ticket Hub. Yeah.
Well, there's StubHub. There's like Ticketmaster does resellers, everything else. He was like, but like if you go to my website and buy the tickets, like that's the most legitimate site you can buy. And he even said like he like tried to find her in the audience. He was like, look, like Ruth or Rose or whatever the fuck her name was. He was like, look, just like I feel like for $700 you need like a backstage like pass and everything else. Aww. He was like, I might not be there, but like, you know, you can get a tour and whatever. He was like, but no, we need to make this right.
He's committing the place to like.
He was like, but no, we need to make this right. So just like, you know, hang out because like that was absurd. Like you shouldn't have had to do that. Like that was obnoxious amount for you to pay for where you are and everything else. And so it was very, very sweet of him. But it was also like, hey, as a reminder, there are a lot of places that are going to fucking rip you off if they can, and they're going to do it.
And you know what? If you can travel to another state and the tickets are cheaper there because they haven't sold out yet, try and do that. Like there are places that I'm like, oh, let's check Indianapolis because it's a 2-hour drive.
Well, and that's the thing. It wasn't sold out. It wasn't a sold out crowd. So like there were seats next to us that I was like, there was no need to pay that much money.
Who did she buy tickets from?
Well, that's my thing. So like she clearly went onto some site and they were like, oh no, look, you can get these great ass tickets like down in the orchestra, like down, you know, and she's down on the bottom floor and everything else. But I'm like, okay, here's my thing.
You don't get a better show. All I need in a comedy show is I need to be able to see the I have a hard time understanding people if I can't see their faces. Because I don't know how to relate to what they're saying.
Yeah.
I'm assuming other people have it. It's just always been hard for me.
Yeah.
I can understand people with accents better if I can see them.
Right.
So I need to be able to see your face.
And I understand that.
I would prefer to have you on a Jumbotron so I can see that. But
and I'm assuming this woman had never been in the Victoria Theater before because honestly, in Victoria Theater, there is not a bad seat in the house.
So that would be like when I went to, I got a good price on the front row seat the first time I went to see Stephen Lynch, but I didn't realize the Capitol Theater was so small and the stage was so short.
Oh, yeah.
Because I sat in the front row and I was like right there. I was from me to your wall, which is about 10 feet. I don't know.
Not even.
I was very close to them. And I'm
that's
like,
a 14-foot wall. You're probably 7 foot away.
I'm like, this is a great experience, but also he can see us.
Yeah.
Not very well because, like I said, he blamed the drunk bitch on me. And thankfully people were like, it's not her. It's her. But yeah, I mean, also. You have to consider it. Like when we were in the hall that we were in to see Charlie, it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's not Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
When we were there, my husband was like, how good are the seats? And I was like, first of all, for promotional tickets, which on a Thursday, comedy shows do the same thing locally. They paper the audience. So if you like sign up for Funny Bone, they'll offer you free tickets for like a Thursday.
Right. Because you also you're required to buy so many things while you're there.
They will also do it on weekends. That's why you get a notice like on Thursday because they haven't sold enough tickets for Friday and Saturday. Yeah. So they would rather have the outrageous $9 a beer.
Right.
Because they've already paid the comedian.
Yeah.
There was no place we would have been in that hall. And it was a hall, not a theater. It was like being in your auditorium in high school. There's no place that we could have sat that wasn't great. our tickets were perfect.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in the row. So we were like fucking man spreading everywhere.
Fantastic. Well, and that's what I mean. Like Victoria Theater is so small.
And I really wish that like your partner would have let us sit together. So it should have been like boy, girl, boy, because your enjoyment of that show was contagious. And he could have been sitting with you still because he definitely enjoys when you're happy.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, even if he would have hated the show, he would have loved that you loved it.
Oh yeah. I will say that's one thing in our relationship that is very, I don't know if it's healthy or not, but like when I'm happy, he is happy. When I am happy, he is very happy. So that works out well for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, so there was not a bad seat in the house. So paying that much money for that ticket, I was just like, oh, you went through, I don't know what the hell where you bought that ticket or why you bought that ticket.
But also, it makes a point it pains me. And I am so sad that more people didn't get behind Pearl Jam in the 90s. Ticketmaster is a 100% monopoly.
Oh yeah.
You can't have a theater that doesn't have Ticketmaster. I feel like they're like union.
Yeah.
Because Chappelle tickets were through that too. We saw Chappelle 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
When he did his first shows in the cornfield. It's not a cornfield. It's a wedding venue, but they made it sound like it was in the middle of bumfuck.
Right.
It was in the middle of bumfuck, but it was a really nice venue.
I mean, it's nice.
People have weddings there. So yeah, I mean, they get to set ticket prices when I feel like the artist might not set that ticket price. Well, also, I don't like having to pay a $30 surcharge for 2 tickets.
Yeah, that's the shit.
I'm like, not only are you getting part of the ticket sales, but then you're raping me for $30.
Yeah. Well, and that's why the tickets were so expensive because like I said, I spent like $70. That was not how much the tickets were.
So they're probably $25 a seat.
Yeah. And then it ended up being $70 just on the surcharges and everything else. And so that was my thing. I was like, and
that doesn't even happen with your local comedy place that happens at the bar. Like $15 is $15.
Right.
2 seats are $30.
Right.
End of story.
That's it. And maybe they charge local tax, which is maybe a couple of bucks, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, and he made a point of saying that he was like, the best way you can buy tickets is go through my website and buy them through there because he's like, that will be the cheapest ticket prices that you can possibly get for my shows.
And that's awesome.
And you need to do that. And that's what I've tried to do, honestly, whenever I want to see somebody, like even if I find it on Ticketmaster first, I'll go to that person's like website and go through. And if it boots me over to Ticketmaster, then so be it. Okay. But like, if I can buy it through their website instead of buying it through Ticketmaster first, like even if Ticketmaster processes it, I still feel like it's lower fees if you go through their website than it is if you just go straight through Ticketmaster.
But like when there are events at the bar, I'll come into the bar if they're selling tickets in the bar because I don't want to say Eventbrite charges $3 per ticket. And it's fine, but some of the events are right priced.
Yeah.
But then I go on Eventbrite.
And you feel like you're paying
cheap ass.
Well, but you feel like you're paying double what you're going to pay.
I just called somebody at the bar cheap last night. So
yeah, I mean,
he's a cheap ass.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
He also has a concave ass. You ever stood behind somebody and you're like, where'd your ass go? Mm-hmm. You got no ass.
Last night I walked up to somebody at the bar.
I have a flatter ass.
All right. So sometimes the bartenders at the bar, I will.
By the way, if you're in Dayton, come look at the bartender's boobs.
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic.
They're gorgeous.
But so every once in a while, I'll be like, hey, I'm ordering food. Do you want dinner? Yeah, okay, I'll order you some food. And I'll order food. And we got the food and I went down and I took her food and I sat at the bar and there was this dude standing there and he goes, oh, is that for me? And I go, no. It's for her because
he is the most annoying motherfucker in that bar and he's the one with concave ass.
Annoying motherfucker in the bar. And not only that, but in my brain, I was like, no, that's not your fucking food because you know what? You weren't even invited to the party the last time I was here that we had a giant party. Yeah. And I got catering for it, but you still came back and got a to-go container and filled it up with food and took it with you to go of the food. I
didn't know he did that.
From the party that you weren't invited to.
And his wife isn't a dick.
No, not at all. No.
I enjoy her. She's lovely.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
But I 100% will not go out to the patio without my husband if he's out there because my husband tolerates him.
Yeah.
Except for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah, no.
So St. Patrick's Day, he made a comment about my makeup And I had fantastic makeup, if I may say so myself.
You're very good at makeup.
Thank you. So I had orange. I had orange, white, and green eyes I basically made the Irish flag on my eyeballs.
You were very Irish decked out.
Thank you. And he said something about my makeup. I think we were still wearing masks or something, or there was an outbreak here and I had a mask on. So my makeup was a little fucked up because once we got here and I was like, I don't care.
Start drinking and you're sweating.
And then you just forget about it. And he said something about my makeup. Like, why isn't the top of your face the same color as the bottom of your face? And I looked at him and I went, why don't you fuck off? And my husband said, has there ever been a thought that you didn't say out loud? Because maybe you should think about it.
Oh, God.
I was like, my husband is the quietest human being in the world. I was going to say,
if your husband says something, that's bad.
But again, there's only been one time that something has happened that he didn't know what to do and he just left. But we had dated for 3 weeks at that point. So I also would not have thrown my ass under a bus for my girlfriend at that point. We were at a bar and some people were being like dicks about the tables that we had reserved and they wanted them. And I'm like, no, we're still doing a thing. I don't care if we're going in and outside. We're using these 2 tables.
Yeah.
And we were like, fine, fuck it. We're done. And this guy ran his hand up the back of my neck to my head and was like, let me help you out of your seat, sweetheart. And I turned around and was like, don't fucking touch me. And it was at that point that my 3-week boyfriend, I don't even think we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, was like, you probably got this, right? Because he was a big fucker.
Yeah.
But also drinking, I have balls that we were talking about this last night. I was like, there's so many mean things that I could say to somebody that I don't because people are crazy now.
I feel like I have an abundance of confidence when it comes to that shit because I took some self-defense classes when I was in college.
Also, I'm pretty sure a dude won't hit me, but I can take a punch and I'm hoping other people fuck him up.
Well, so here's the thing.
At the bar we were at, he would have gotten fucked up.
I dropped that self-defense class after 3 days because I found out there was homework. And I was like, I thought this is all like, just learning shit.
I just want to learn basic jujitsu to not get killed.
Right. But in the first 3 days, the things that I learned were how to rip a guy's balls off, how to poke a guy's eyes out, and how to fracture his nose.
I feel like you went to the same class I did, but I didn't have homework.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I feel like I am very prepared for this situation because I'm like, anytime anybody comes at me, I'm like, all right, try me, motherfucker, because you piss me off enough and I know how to use my fucking hands.
Yeah. I told my husband last night, I was like, I'm not sure if I can fight anymore. I'm 50. I'm not sure if I can fight anymore. I have always been able to take a punch, which is a horrible thing to find out. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, like 100% was sure that a dude wasn't going to try and drop me. And if I were in certain bars where I knew people, like all of the bouncer staff, go ahead and punch me. Go ahead. Yeah. Let's see what is the, I like fuck around and find out, but I like test that assumption at your earliest convenience.
Yeah. Because I feel like, honestly, like you punch me, I'm not going to get sad about it. I'm just going to get pissed off and you don't want to see me pissed off.
So I took a self-defense class after I got my face cut open.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy was like, the first mistake you made is that you should have taken a stance where you weren't going to get in that position. Yeah. I put myself in that position, but also outside of getting my face cut, I fucking won. So
there you go.
But when he was teaching us stuff, so a lot of the women weren't there because they got into a bar fight. A lot of them were there because they're afraid for their virtue.
Yeah.
What that may be. And one of the things he said was, you are probably not going to evade a rape.
Right.
But I'm going to teach you how to survive it.
Yeah.
And so he was teaching like floor work and it was really jujitsu shit. And when he wanted to prove his point, he was like, this is a female who teaches here. She's a black belt in jujitsu. And he said, we're going to demonstrate. And he told her, fight me as hard as you can.
Oh, God.
And he was a thick dude, not a big dude.
Yeah.
And he was able to pin her down and be between her legs within less than a minute.
Wow.
And he was like, you probably aren't going to evade it, but you need to be able to survive it.
Yeah.
And so he was teaching like the throat punch and and there were a couple of times that like I threw something and he was like, that's just going to piss somebody off. Like you need to actually, and the guy that he had me with weighed like 100 pounds. And my favorite thing to do was called the puppet master. So he had us practice this because I have really strong legs. Like I can, today I could go in and the thing where you press your legs, the leg press. I can do 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So I got strong ass legs and I picked this dude up with my feet and tossed him. And he was like, that was good.
Yeah.
But also you didn't manage to throat punch him at all. And I was like, I don't want to throat punch him. And he was like, the only thing you can't do to him is take out a knee.
Yeah.
And I was like, taking out a knee is an option. He was like, fuck yeah, let's learn that.
So I feel like the first thing I learned is that your instant reaction is to run away from somebody who's attacking you. But if you're already in close contact with them, the best thing you can do is get closer to them.
Right.
And I was like, all right. And they're like, and then as soon as you're closer to them, these are the things that you can do that will hurt them severely.
If you're going to a self-defense class and they teach you like, they're going to put your hands on your shoulder and you're going to go up between their arms and move away.
Oh, no, I didn't learn that.
He taught us shit like your thumb is the weakest appendage on your hand. Turn against the thumb and you probably can break loose and then strike them in the nose.
Yeah. What he taught us is not, instead of like trying to get out of the grasp or anything like that, he was like, oh, if you can get your hand on their face, all you got to do is make sure your hand is flat on their face and just follow it up so that your fingernails go straight into their eyeball.
Yeah. But this leads back to a conversation we've had before. Men don't walk around with their keys between their fingers.
No, they don't. They don't have to.
Your dad didn't understand why a door lock should lock all the doors or only unlock one door.
Yeah, he didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Which shocked the shit out of me. I was like, how do you not know that's a thing?
Because we walk around on guard all the time because you don't explicitly teach your boys not to assault women. But we explicitly teach girls how to not get assaulted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we blame them when they do.
Yeah.
Because they weren't vigilant enough.
Oh, well, you wore a short skirt.
Yeah.
So,
fuck off.
Oh
my God. Hey, you missed half a day of work on Thursday because we said that this was going to lead back to this. We make horrible segues.
Well, and the segue, okay, so the segue to this was we were talking about guns.
Probably cut this piece and move it to... Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So we were talking about guns and it reminded me of this because this is part of the story I did not tell you earlier. So my father called me at 5 a.m., which I feel like the feeling that I got when I saw my watch because my phone was on silent.
Because you have parents that will not call you unless like somebody died or
like,
I mean, they'll call you for recreational purposes to just have a chat. But at 5 o'clock in the morning,
my mom calls me on a regular basis.
Somebody might have died.
My dad does not call me on a regular basis. Like we talk,
calls
but
your
like,
mom.
He'll call my mom and I'll hear about things from my dad. Like my mom will be like, have you talked to your dad about this? And I'm like, no, what the fuck? And then I'll have to call him and be like, hey, what the fuck?
His roof caved in and he needs to do well.
So, and he'll text people, which is fine. But like, I got a phone call at 5 a.m. from my father and thank God I have a smartwatch and like my wrist was vibrating at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I look at it and I'm like, Dad's calling. It's 5 a.m. What the fuck? And so I answer the phone. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, that's your immediate reaction. Like, what's wrong? And I feel like I don't have children.
Right.
But I feel like my dad is at the age where he's like retiring and everything else. So I feel like I'm at the age now where the roles kind of flipped a little bit, where I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I feel like he's not my kid, but like I feel like I would feel like somebody would feel
capable,
like,
but you're starting to ease into that role.
Yeah. Like when somebody's kid calls you at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're like, oh, fuck, who's in jail or who's hurt or what hospital do I need to go to?
That used to happen when my mom would call me at work when my dad was sick. I'm like, what the fuck happened? She was like, oh no, I just need you to bring something over. And I'm like, that couldn't have waited until after 5.
Right.
Jesus,
like,
don't do that.
Jesus Christ. Like you're freaking me out. So I get this phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning and I answer, I'm like, what's wrong? And he was like, can you bring me eye drops? And here's the thing. My dad lives 25 minutes away from me. It takes me 25 minutes to get there. So he called me and asked me for eye drops at 5 a.m. And I'm like, you just need eye drops? What the fuck happened? And he was like, I can't open my eye. It hurts. It's burning, like all these things. And I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. So I jump out of bed, I throw on pants and whatever else. And like in my brain, I'm like, okay, it's 5 a.m. There's no fucking way I'm going to be able to come back here and like get anything before I go to work. So I pack up my computer. I make sure I got pants on that I can wear to work. And I'm like, all right, all the things. And so I'm on my way, and this is the part that relates to the gun thing. My dad is a big like gun person. And so he has a ton of guns. He has a safe with all the guns in them. And as I'm driving there, I'm like in my brain going, did he call me in his sleep? Does he know I'm coming? When I get there, when I key into the house, is he going to like, I don't know, have a handgun on him? And like I was having dreams of him shooting me like in the shoulder, like as I walk into the door.
I've had that with my husband because I had to go to the ER in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm leaving, but he didn't understand that. And I was like, when I come back, don't kill me.
Right. So like I'm having all these dreams like on my drive, my 25-minute drive up to his house. I'm like having all these thoughts of like, when I walk in the house, is he gonna fucking shoot me because he thinks I'm an intruder? Like I don't know. Like, so I'm like having all these visions of like, and then if I go to the hospital, like I'm imagining I'll be okay because in my brain he's not a great shot, so he shot me in the shoulder instead of like body. And so then I'm like, okay, so if I go to the hospital and I have like a shoulder shot, like I'll be fine, but like he's gonna be devastated because he shot his daughter, and then I'm gonna have to like console him, and then I'm gonna be the one that's shot, but I'm gonna have to be taking care of him still because he's gonna be sad that he shot me, and then my mom's gonna kill him, and it's gonna be a whole thing. And like, so all of this is going, like, this is all the shit that's going through my brain as I'm driving up like to his house. And I'm like, all right, like, and then I get there and I walk in the door and I'm like, there's like barely any lights on or anything. And I use my key and I get in the door and I'm like, all right, I'm walking around, and I like walk around the corner towards his bedroom and I hear, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. I'm like, where are you? I'm on the couch. Oh, okay. All right. Turn around and go back out into the living room. I'm like, all right, there you are. Cool. So what's going on? He's like, I don't know. Get the flashlight. There's a flashlight around the corner.
You can't just turn on the light?
No. So I go get the flashlight and I come back out and he's like, all right, look. And he can't open his eye by himself. So he takes his two hands and he like pulls his eye open. I'm like, to put in the flashlight. He's like, is there anything in there? And I'm like, I can't fucking see. So I go and I try and look in his eyeball and I'm like, I don't see anything. But like his eye, like the eyelid was like red. And a little bit puffy, not super swollen, but like when he opened his eyeball, like his eyeball was like all bloodshot, like it was all red and like all fucked up. And I was like, oh shit. So I brought the eye wash and I brought the eye drops, right? So I go out in the kitchen, I'm reading all the instructions and I get the eye wash out first and I'm like taking it out of the package and I was like, okay, well, like wash the cup and then fill it halfway up. So I go wash the cup and I fill it halfway up with the solution. I come out into the living room. I'm like, all right, I need you to put this on your eye and like lean back and open your eye a little bit. And I know you can't open your eye really, but like I need you to try. And he goes, did you wash your hands? And I was like, no, fucker, I didn't wash my hands. All right. So I go back into the kitchen and I dump the fucking thing out and I wash my hands and then I do the whole thing over again. I come back out and I was like, all right, I washed my hands. Now put this thing on your eye and fucking wash it out. So he did. And he's like yelling because it's burning and whatever else. And
yeah, because saline burns.
Yeah.
Because it has salt.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, all right. But I think it kind of feels better. But also, oh, this is awful. And I'm like, all right. And so then I take that in and I get rid of the rest of it, whatever else. And then I brought lubricating eye drops because I went to Walgreens in the middle of the night and they had a pharmacist on call.
You have the 24-hour.
Yeah. So we have the 24-hour pharmacy. And so I got there and the girl, like, she was like, oh, you need this. And she picked up a box and I looked at her and I was like, that's for contact lenses. And she was like, I'm going to go get the pharmacist.
If they're not in the pharmacy, don't trust the ticket cash register.
No, that's the thing. I was looking at the eye drop things and I was like, I knew what I was looking for, but like she came out and she was like, oh, can I help you? And I was like, this is what I'm looking for. And
she goes, need like the Syslane or the refresh or whatever.
I don't know. And she looks at it and she goes, oh, I think this is it. And she picked it up and immediately I was like, that's for contact lenses. And she goes, oh. And then she looked at me and she goes, I'm going to go get the pharmacist. I was like, good idea. Thank you. So the pharmacist comes out and he's like, all right, eye wash. Here's the eye wash. And I was like, all right, great. And I was like, do we need eye drops or anything? And he goes, okay, here's the eye drops. He was like, these are the ones I would recommend. This is like the singular ones. And this is like the drops little thing that like you can do multiples. And I was like, he's not going to want to do singular ones because that's too much paperwork. So, so I got him the eye drops and I'm like, all right. So I went on my way. So when I get there, I cleaned his eye out and then
my favorite part of the story that you told me, which wasn't the whole story, was it's going to take me 30 minutes to get there because I have to put on pants.
Yeah. Well,
and our dart mate was like, how long does it take you to put on pants?
Right. And I'm like, he lives 25 minutes away. Like, I jumped out of bed and I'm like, I need like clothes. And this is what I mean. Like, I knew it was going to take me long enough that I was going to be there and have to go straight to work. Mm-hmm. And it was a Thursday, which is not casual day. So I was supposed to be in work clothes, but I was like, fuck that. I'm not wearing work clothes because I need to just find things I can put on. So I had jeans laying at the end of the bed that I pulled on. And then I was like, I need to find a shirt that somewhat looks nice. That's not like a hoodie that I can still wear to work when I walk in. So I found like a shirt and a cardigan that I could put on. And I was like, all right, this is it. That's what we're doing. But then I had to stop at Walgreens too, and I was like, this is like, I got there 40 minutes after he called me and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, he either needs to move closer or like, you know, something needs to happen here, because if like I'm the person he calls at 5 a.m., like we need a shorter distance here. So we washed
Stick
out
him in your basement,
right? I could. I put eye drops in it, and then he's sitting there and he's like, I'm looking up things and I'm like, all right, we need to go to the ER. He refuses to go to the ER. All right, urgent care. Let me look up urgent care. Urgent care doesn't open for another 2 hours, 8 a.m. And it's like 6 o'clock at this point. I'm like, all right, urgent care doesn't open until 6. He's like, I just need to go to the optometrist. This is the place I go. It's on this road and da da da. And I'm looking it up and I'm like, okay, here's the name of it. And he goes, I don't know if that's right. And so he looks it up on his phone with one eyeball and he goes, here on the map, this is where it's at. And I look on his phone. I'm like, it's the same fucking place I just found. I was like, this is the place. And he was like, well, that didn't sound like my doctor. And I'm like, no, because this is the main doctor and you see this other chick that's there 2 days a week. So I'm like, well, they don't open until 8:30 according to Google, but I called them on the line just because, you know, every once in a while they have like emergency numbers or whatever else. And I'm like, all right, look, it says they open at 8 a.m., but they have an emergency cell phone number. Do you want me to call the doctor? And he goes, no, we'll just wait until it opens. And I'm like, all right, that's in 2 hours. And he goes, it's fine. And I was like, well, at least go back to fucking bed and try and get some sleep and see if like that helps with your eye closed. He goes, I can't sleep now because he's already had a cup of coffee because he was waiting on my ass to get up there. So I'm like, fine. So I go out. I'm like, well, I'll be back in a minute. So I went and got in my car, went to Starbucks, got myself some coffee, and I had my laptop with me. So I come back and I'm like, all right, I'm going to set up my computer and just start fucking working because I got nothing else to do and I got to wait till 8 a.m. to call the doctor. He passes out on the couch. He's like, well, I'm not going to bed. I'll just lay down here. And I'm like, fine, whatever you want. Starts snoring. Yeah. Within 5 minutes. I'm like, all right. So he's passed out. So I sit there and work for like 2 hours. 8 o'clock rolls around. I call the doctor and the girl goes, well, we're real short staffed today. And, and I'm like, give her all the information. She's like, I'll talk to the doctor and then I'll call you back. And I'm like, all right, great. So I just let him sleep. So I get a good 2.5 hours of work in.
Nice.
Yeah. So, you know, that was productive. And then they finally call me at 9:15 and they go, hey, so I talked to the doctor. Can you come in like right now? And I'm like, yeah, he's putting on his shoes right now. And I say that really loud because he just woke up and is laying on the couch and he immediately gets up and goes to put pants on because he had sweatpants on. He wanted to put jeans on. I'm like, all right. So he's putting on jeans.
What's nice that he had sweatpants on. My dad would have been in tidy whities.
Normally he would have been. I was surprised by the outfit. But then again, he did have 40 minutes preparation for my arrival. Yeah. So I was like, all right. So he does that. And I'm like, all right. So I take him to the doctor and he's in the doctor and I sat out in the waiting room and ate my breakfast and whatever else. And he comes back out and I'm like, all right, so we're driving. And I'm like, he's got a prescription. I got to drive him to Kroger to get his fucking prescription. And I'm like, so what's the verdict here? And he goes, well, I have a really big scratch on my eyeball. He said, it feels a lot better right now, though. He put some stuff in it that numbed the whole thing and it feels great. And I was like, Well, and even when he woke up before he went to the doctor, like he could at least open his eyeball. And I was like, all right, so cleaning it out and putting the eye drops in it helped a little bit.
Cool. Yeah.
And cool. I made him take some Advil. I was like, it's an anti-inflammatory. It's got to help somewhat, right? So we're on the way to the doctor. We're talking about it. He goes, yeah, I got a big scratch on my eyeball. And I'm like, all right, you called me at 5 a.m. You were sleeping. How the fuck did you scratch your eye at 5 o'clock in the morning? He was like, I don't know. I was asleep. And I was like, I mean, like, are your nails long? Like, are you like a baby? Do I need to put, he was like, maybe you need to put gloves on me. I was like, I mean, I'll start putting gloves on you at night if you need them. But I'm like, are your nails long? And he was like, no, I cut them. They're like short. And I'm like, okay, well then how the fuck did you scratch your eyeball in the middle of the night while you're sleeping? And he goes, it might be Eeyore's fault.
Who's Eeyore?
So my dad talks like Eeyore. He's got that cadence. He's very like, da, da, da. So
this is true.
We've called him that for years. And a few years ago, we bought him a stuffed Eeyore. that is like, you know, I mean, it's a good 2 foot like tall, and like, it's a pretty big Eeyore. So I think once he got his divorce, he started using Eeyore as a pillow, and he has like I don't know 6 to 8 pillows around him when he sleeps,
but nothing is as soft as Eeyore.
Right. So I feel like Eeyore is one of the pillows he uses at night, and I think he rolled over in the middle of the night, and I think Eeyore has some things on him because it's a stuffed fucking animal that might be sharp, and I think Eeyore scratched his fucking eye in the middle of the night. And I'm like, so you rolled over and there's something on Eeyore that scratched your eye? And he goes, yeah, I think that might be it. And I was like, son of a bitch. Like, we need to get you a softer fucking pillow. You're not allowed to sleep with Eeyore anymore.
We're going to have to clip Eeyore's nails.
Yeah, Eeyore needs to go, man. Like, we need to cut off some buttons or whatever the fuck he's got that is scratchy, because, oh my God, like, really? 5 o'clock in the morning, Eeyore scratched your eye while you rolled over in bed?
Look, my corneal abrasion was more manly than that. I got a corneal abrasion because I was pulling a starter off a shelf when I worked at an auto place.
Yeah.
And I got a metal shaving that scratched my eye, but I've never been harmed by a stuffed animal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. Yeah.
Nice.
So he's got same antibiotic ointment, like, drops now, and he has to go back in on Monday for a follow-up to make sure he's still good, but he can see now and he can drive.
That's good.
So
Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I made it into work at about noon.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're a good mother.
Yeah. Like, I'm the mother-daughter.
I always say I don't have a small bladder. I just filter things faster than other people.
I mean, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah. So you're a big Disney person.
I am, and I'm super excited about this.
And
But
Brandy's
also,
favorite thing to do at Halloween is to watch children's shows. My favorite thing to do at Halloween is to watch scary shit.
Yeah, I don't like scary shit, so I watch all like the Halloween Town and everything else. And Hocus Pocus came out this year with a sequel.
Right. And you like I feel like you've said that last year when I came here, you were like, I'm starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There will be Hocus Pocus and like Nightmare Before Christmas and like all of these things.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Sally this year, by the way.
Oh, love it.
I have to hand paint a whole fucking dress that I haven't started yet because I'm me.
That's the thing.
But I've ordered a shit ton of makeup. So Hocus Pocus 2 was out on Disney Plus. I know you haven't seen it yet, but there's controversy.
Yeah, I was, when you told me there was controversy around it, I was shocked. I was like, I'm sorry, what? It's Hocus Pocus.
Right? So I'm reading the article from WSET, but it's probably on, what's that? The AP, the Reuters, the whatever.
Yeah.
That news service. So a mother in Texas is gaining social media attention after warning parents that watching the new Hocus Pocus movie could be spiritually harmful to their families. You guys know who Hocus Pocus is? Sorry, I have to click.
I mean, Bette Midler.
So the 3 actresses, Catherine Najimy, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Bette Midler.
Yeah.
So they reprise their roles, and this woman, go look it up. I don't want to use her name because, well, I can use her name because it's in the news. It's public.
Yeah.
Jamie Gooch shared her thoughts on the new movie. With the release of Hocus Pocus 2 coming up, I would be wrong not to sound the alarm and warn you to protect your children.
Yes.
After
they're all in danger.
The whole movie is based on harvesting the purity of children's souls so that witches may live on. Frankly, we've had stories about witches eating children forever. Yeah. Have you not seen Hansel and Gretel?
And yeah. I mean, Salem witch trials were a whole thing.
I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but she just da. My thing was that she said, a worst case scenario is you unleash hell on your kids and in your home. The whole movie is based on witches. Don't watch this film. Everybody thinks it's fake and innocent because it's fucking fake and PG or G.
Yeah, it really is.
But they could be casting any type of spell they want to. Anything could be coming through your TV screen in your home.
So she believes in witchcraft.
She believes in witchcraft. She thinks spells are real, and she thinks they can put them on you without. And we all know that they need like hair and blood and an eye of newt.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, they can only put an actual curse on you if they have like part of your body.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think it goes further than just a movie. It goes further than Halloween. It's a year-round thing. We constantly need to be cautious of what we're consuming, what we're bringing in, and what we're sending out. I believe whatever comes in in our TV screens, there are things attached to that. I've seen for myself the things that I've watched with my eyes or heard over a TV screen, they've become manifested in real life.
I bet she's scared of 5G.
Then I think, oh my gosh, what did I consume? This bitch.
Oh my God.
This bitch is crazy.
Her kids are doomed.
Oh my God. I have news for her. Her kids are going to hit college because of her and fucking do all the drugs.
Oh, all the drugs.
All the drugs.
Well,
all
I mean,
the sex.
they probably already feel like they're on drugs.
Yeah. I mean, because she sounds like she's on drugs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she needs antipsychotics or something. I don't know.
I mean,
it's a movie.
It's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, Disney is kind of an evil corporation, but whatever.
They are. But if you think Disney movies are real,
if you think they're casting spells, now I guarantee you she supports J.K. Rowling because J.K. Rowling came out against trans women saying trans women aren't women. I bet she likes them, her. But yeah, and the Harry Potter thing. But hey, I'm going to post pictures of Brandy's Harry Potter Lego that I see on the desk.
My Hedwig.
It's very cute. What's
Hedwig?
And the Angry Inch? No.
Hedwig is
I feel like that's
Harry's
weird
owl.
I feel like that's weird that I've never thought about that Hedwig, the owl, came after Hedwig and the Angry Inch. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a Broadway play. Oh, we forgot to talk about our Broadway plays.
Oh
yeah. Hedwig and the Angry Inch is about somebody who gets their penis cut off and they only have an inch or whatever. And the best people have been in it. I think Neil Patrick Harris was in it.
Nice.
I think the MPH is in. I'm down for.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
But yeah, so I'll post pictures of that. But I don't understand people who think that fiction
is real,
especially something like, I get it when people are like, it has an underlying message, but also my parents let me watch anything they watched, and then we had a conversation.
Yeah, if there was something in there
anything you didn't understand, is there anything you have questions about?
Yeah.
We've talked about before that my parents let me listen to Red Fox, Bill Cosby, who knew he was a rapist. Not even alleged. He got convicted for it, so I can say that. And George Carlin and Richard Pryor. Yeah. I saw a Richard Pryor special when I was like under 10. And my parents were just like, do you need to know what any of these jokes meant?
Right.
And it only got uncomfortable when I did know what the jokes meant without asking them. Because then they were like, do you want to know what this is about? And I'm like, I go to school.
I got it.
I go to public school. I'm good. I don't understand. Like, we talked about being a mom earlier, but this is not being a mom.
No, that's being paranoid psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have never watched anything other than a real documentary. In all honesty, I know how, statistically, I just read about this. Statistically, serial murders are 1% of all murders committed in the United States.
That makes sense.
But they say that there is a X amount of serial murderers out there. There was just a couple in the news. There are X amount of serial murderers happening at any given time in the United States.
Yeah, that also makes sense.
And I've never watched even a documentary and been like, I'm afraid this is going to happen to me.
Nope. Mm-mm. No.
I naively think that I would know
that somebody's a serial killer.
Yeah, I feel like I would know it in my bones.
Yeah.
Only because people give me icky feelings, and I'm usually right that they're icky people.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair.
So once you watch Hocus Pocus 2, can you let me know if it made you hungry for small children?
Do you need small children's souls to feel like you're alive?
Yeah.
Because if so, we're probably going to report you to the police.
I am going to tell you this, and you are going to judge me. I didn't even see Hocus Pocus because I was older when it came out, and it just wasn't appealing.
It's a cult movie.
The only thing I know about Hocus Pocus is amok. I know that Sarah Jessica Parker's character in the first movie was boy crazy, and I think she was boy crazy.
Yeah, she was.
But then there's like amok, and that's all I know.
Yeah, I will say.
That's not true. I might have seen it before, but that's all I know.
I enjoy the first movie because one, I hate scary movies. Two, it's a good Halloween movie for people who don't like scary movies. But also, I feel like it was a lot scarier when I was a kid because now, like, special effects and things have gotten so much better.
Yeah.
That nowadays it's more campy than anything. And so it's just like, plus the one kid in it is now a grown up and on NCIS, and I love watching him on that, and I go back and watch it. So the kid who, so Binks is the cat in the whole thing, which is not voiced by him.
Is it Tim McGee?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's in the movie.
I love Tim McGee.
So,
I also love NCIS, and I'm under 65.
So he is, he's one of the kids, like he's on the flashback, like he starts the whole thing off basically. Like he's the older brother of one of the little girls who gets like captured by the witches. Yeah. And like the whole thing starts because he can't protect his sister, and then they curse him and turn him into a cat, and then he lives forever.
That's the best thing you can be as a cat.
Yeah, so he's a cat and he's like protecting the whole thing, and then some jackass kids come in, light the candle, and wake up the witches, and then he's like, "You asses! Like, what the fuck did you do that for?" He's like, "I've been protecting this for like 1,000 years, and like you just came in and did this shit." And so, but like the cat's voice is not his. It's actually oh god, he's the prince in Enchanted, James Marsden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like James Marsden. I thought you were going to go with a different James. And I was like, good actor, creepy fucker.
Yeah, no, it's James Marsden.
The guy in, I thought it was the guy in Pineapple Express.
Oh, no. Not him. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his last name.
Not Seth Rogen, but his name is James.
James, yeah.
And he's disappeared off the face of the earth for messaging underage girls.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I never liked him in the first place, so that, doesn't
I like
shock
his
me.
brother.
Oh, yeah.
Dave.
Yeah.
I can't remember
their last name. Can't remember their last name. But yeah, so
hey, Arthur, tell us what their names are. Or I hate it. Let's watch it. Somebody tell me what their names are,
because we can't remember. But yeah, he's but then he shows up towards the end of the movie too, and like it's a nice little cameo by him. But like it's when he was like, I don't know, like 15 or something.
Oh, he was that old?
Like, well, it might be I feel like he was in teenage years.
Okay.
Yeah. So like he shows up and you're like, oh, McGee, you're so young.
Man, I love McGee. Do you know what they dropped? This has nothing to do with this, but they like dropped the entire storyline about him being an author.
Really?
I mean, it was where he made his money.
Yeah.
In the show, he made money, but he quit writing novels.
Why?
I don't know. Like, it's weird they dropped it off. By the way, I'm brokenhearted that Mark Harmon is no longer in the show, but I love Gary.
I haven't watched in a couple of years, so I didn't know Mark Harmon wasn't a part of it anymore. He's not,
but the guy from Office Space, not Gary Coleman. He is the kid in Different Strokes. Let's Google it. I've been having problems with my microphone, so this probably won't work. Gary Cole. So Gary Cole was the guy in Office Space who was like, I'm going to need you to whatever the fuck the TSP report is, or.
Oh, sorry. You said Office Space, and for some reason I went to The Office.
No, Office Space.
Yeah.
Where they beat the computer to like the rap song. It's one of the most iconic. One of the iconic films
Gary
of the
Cole.
90s.
Okay, I like him. All right.
I like him too, so he's good. And then it's got Fez from...
Yeah, he was in it before I stopped watching.
Yeah, and I was very sad that Ellie left, but I like the girl that they have now. So it's a really good team.
Yeah.
But Mark Harmon looks like my dad. I'll post a picture of my dad.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to have to listen to this episode to remember that. But yeah, Mark Harmon was fantastic. The head slap.
Yeah. Him and Michael Weatherly. Oh my God, Denozo.
Yeah.
The combo of those two is forever my favorite.
Michael Weatherly also got Me Too'd. So when I say somebody got Me Too'd, I mean, you fucking deserved it.
Yeah.
Apparently, he... what was it? There was
his new show Bull, didn't he like something about interns?
Yeah, he got shit for that, but also it went back to once that came out, in Dark Angel, not Jessica Alba, but the other girl that was on Buffy.
Oh, Charisma Carpenter?
No, this was another vampire hunter. Not vampire hunter. Yeah, vampire hunter. Eliza Dushku.
Yes.
Dushku. So I think she joined when Jessica Alba left Dark Angel.
Oh, okay.
And I loved Dark Angel. And apparently he sexually harassed her too. Yeah. And I like him. He got chubby on Bull, but I liked him. Like, he got chunky as shit. But anyway, I miss Mark Harmon on NCIS. But yeah, I didn't know McGee was in that because I've never watched it.
Yeah, McGee was he was the young kid that was trying to protect his sister, that like was trying to protect everybody from the witches. He was like totally instrumental. He was awesome.
So I have told you that I am segue queen. I have told you that I am digitizing photos from my past. So I have a whole box of photos that my grandparents left when they died. It's not like they willed them to me. They just were in the house. And I have thrown away a ton because the majority of the photos were of classic cars from when we were car show people. And my grandfather had a car that was in car shows. He had a Pontiac Catalina, 1960 Pontiac Catalina. Yeah. He built me a 1949 Ford Anglia, which is like an English Ford. So we were car people. So the majority of them were like the cars he had taken pictures of at car shows, which seems strange now, but like when you went to a car show and you wanted to show the shit to your friends, that's what you did. And he was like all about car people. My grandfather's Catalina was a tri-carb, so it had 3 carburetors, and then it had flamethrowers out the back.
Nice.
Which, the community of Oakwood, they do not appreciate that. Yeah, also in Oakwood, you're not allowed to work on your car.
Seriously?
You can't be shirtless in Oakwood.
Oh God!
If you're a dude,
no.
Well, obviously, if you're a woman,
right?
Free the nipple. But
if you're a dude, you're not allowed to be shirtless.
So, and like, I had a friend who was jogging like across the corner of Oakwood to Kettering, and he got stopped by the Oakwood police because they have nothing better to do.
Dear God.
Oakwood is a very white elitist community. So, and they're across from the University of Dayton.
It's where Brock Turner's from, just in case you want to know.
Fucking piece of shit. So you also can't like so much as change your oil in Oakwood. You're not allowed to do maintenance on your car.
Unless you're in the garage with the door shut and nobody can see you.
Correct. Not something that my grandfather was fond of. So he had a police scanner. So he could tell when somebody called the police on him for lighting his flamethrowers in the alley.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. But anyway, so we were car people. My grandmother also raised roses unintentionally. Like, she intentionally planted them, but they bloomed because she didn't do shit to them. So quit fucking with your roses. So tons of pictures of that. There are 2 dogs, Samson and now I've lost what the name, Shazam, Samson and Shazam. My grandparents were not like DC people, so I have no idea.
Oh my God. Where the hell did that come from?
I have no idea. I'm assuming Shazam actually came from Shazam.
Yeah.
But I didn't know my grandpa was a Shazam person. Anyway, so I'm just trying to digitize those. So I came across an album that I had of when I was in the Air Force, and mostly when I was in tech school, because I didn't make it out of tech school. Just so you know, I was honorably discharged because apparently I had PTSD, and they offered me a discharge because they couldn't put me out for it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not liking this whole fucking military. I excelled at it, but I was like, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, I'll take it.
That's what happens when you join the military at 23. They can't make you do shit because you're not brainwashed yet. Yeah. That's why 18-year-olds do best in the military. So I took a hike, but we still had friends there. My fiance at the time got arrested before I left. Did not help my transition. If I hadn't have already gotten an honorable discharge and was just waiting for the paperwork, I would have been dishonorable because I was fraternizing with active duty. And we didn't realize how we just reported the fact that we went to high school together and ended up in Texas at the same time. We probably would have been covered. Anyway, so he got arrested. He's in correctional custody because there isn't prison in jail unless you get sent to Leavenworth. He's in correctional custody in Oklahoma in Fort Hood. Wichita Falls is close to that. So we went to go visit my imprisoned fiance. You're stupid when you're 24 and 25. So we went to go visit him, but we were staying with friends that I had met through him. And I actually I'm going to use their names because they're never going to listen to this because we've completely lost touch. Yeah. And if somebody from Houston, Texas actually is listening to this, you know, a lot of Dans. So I was staying with, I went with what would become my roommate in Florida.
Yeah.
I met her in tech school. She was an itty bitty baby. She was 17. Her parents signed her in the midst of all of us being in tech school. She didn't get in trouble. They gave her what's called phase 4, which means you don't have a curfew and you don't have to come back to the dormitories because she was 17. They were like, what can she get in trouble for?
Oh, dear God.
So I introduced her.
This is why there's parents.
Right. And I was kind of her parent, and she got introduced to this guy. This is not part of the story, but background. So she got introduced to this guy, and this is just funny. I woke up one morning with what would become my fiance, and I saw him, and she had spent the night. And I said, do you know where she is? And he goes, no, I don't, but she's a big girl. She can take care of herself. And I was like, she's 18. And he goes, she's a big girl. And I was like, no, like she was 17 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And now she's 18. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and I was like, oh, you guys smashed before she was 18. Ha! It's Texas. She's the age of consent.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went back to visit the imprisoned fiance. We stayed with these friends that we had made through him, Dan and Adam, and we love Dan and Adam. Actually, I'm really sad that I've lost touch with them, but I wouldn't be able to find them to save my life at this point, mainly because I don't remember the last names, because it was a very long time ago. But I have pictures. They existed. So we were staying in their dormitory, and the way that the Air Force dormitory is set up in Wichita Falls is for permanent party is that you have 2 rooms connected by a bathroom. And what a lot of people did is they made one room a living room, and then they had beds in the other room, and then just the bathroom. So because we were staying there, the boys were like, and we referred to them as the boys, they were full grown ass men. Anyway, the boys were like, you guys can choose between the couch and the pullout. I'm like, cool. My friend chose the couch, and I was like, I'll sleep on the pullout, even though it's weird, but there was no sexual tension between Adam and Dan and me. So I was like, it's like sleeping with just the dudes. So it's not sleeping with. Anyway, falling asleep.
Sleeping next to?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like not sleeping with, sleeping next to
them. Yeah.
So the first night we were there, we got shit-faced. And by shit-faced, I mean, there were like 10 or 15 of us throughout the night that passed through the room because a lot of our friends from the Air Force came through and said, hey, Grandpa Rick, Sergio. Oh, Sergio was so fucking hot. I think he picked us up at the airport. And like some other people that are from our lives. I'll tell another story about busting Dan for sleeping with some girl that he shouldn't have. Also, I told somebody that he slept with her, and that's how I got busted. So we all got shit-faced. We had to go get more beer in the middle of the night. And because she and I went together and she still wasn't 21, I'm assuming there's a statute of limitations on contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
I think it's 7 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So in Texas at the time, I took her with me and we both picked up 24 packs. So like we had them under our arms. So you put 2 under your arms and then you grab 2 with your hands so that you can hold them. So we had 8 cases of beer, and the store we went to said, can I see your ID? And I give it to them. And they said, can we see your ID? And point it to her. And she was like, she's buying it. And they were like, no, if you guys are together, I need to see both of your IDs. You can only buy what you can carry if you're over 21. If you're under 21, you can't participate in this shit. And I was like, fuck, we had to go to 2 places to get 8 cases of beer for like 15 people. And we already had 2 cases of beer.
Because you had to carry everything?
Right, because I had to carry everything and I could only carry 4 cases at a time. So we go back, 8 cases of beer. We all drink it. Everybody's shit-faced. But Adam shit-faced more than the rest of us. So Adam passes out cold. Hard.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm telling this story is because I found a photo of what was to happen. Dan and I were awake. Everybody else had gone to sleep. We're watching our typical movies that we watched in tech school. So Top Gun, 8 Seconds, Tombstone. Those were our livelihood. They gave us life when I was in tech school.
Yeah.
So we're watching these because I can quote Top Gun word for word while watching it. Probably also Tombstone and 8 Seconds.
Love Tombstone.
So, me too. And if you haven't seen 8 Seconds, go read about the story of Lane Frost and then watch the movie because you'll break your heart. And Luke Perry is dead. So we stay up. And Dan was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, we should do something to Adam. Now, we have already done things to Adam in the past 2 years, like draw on his face with an eye pencil, not with a marker, because you can get in trouble in the Air Force.
For having stuff on your face.
Yeah. So we've done that. I think we put raw bacon on his face while he was asleep one time, because when he passes out, he passes out.
He's down.
So he said, what do you want to do to Adam? We should do something to Adam, but we haven't done like something we haven't already done. And I drunkenly said, let's shave his eyebrows off. And he goes, no. He can get in trouble for that. And I was like, well, what is your suggestion? He goes, we should shave his legs. And I was like, right on. Let's shave his legs.
Do that.
He's wearing pants. He passed out in like his clothing.
Right. So he's fully clothed.
Even though Dan and Adam are roommates, he's fully clothed in the pull-out bed. So we go and get a handful of Bic razors.
Oh, God.
A sideburn trimmer and a beard trimmer, all in one. Like you flip the sideburn trimmer out. So we go get these things. And he has pants on. So I was like, we have to take his pants off. And Dan said, you're going to need to unbutton and unzip them because I'm not fucking doing that. And I was like, you homophobe. So I unbutton and unzip them. Dan tries to pull them off by his ankles and we slide at him all the way down the bed.
Oh,
like,
God.
Knees, like when you're laying down and but your feet are facing down.
Oh, yeah.
Bent at the knee. So we waited a minute. Because he grumbled a little bit. He was like, rah, rah, rah. Okay, let's slide him back up in the bed. So we slid him back up in the bed and Dan was like, lift his ass up. So I'm at his waist, lifting him up. We get his pants off. Fantastic. Dan comes out with a cup of water. We already have the Bic razors. Dan comes out with a cup of water. Now, Adam is blonde, but Adam has like bushy, furry legs.
Okay.
And you can only shave so much of them because we can't turn him over. So we can shave like 3/4 of his legs.
Yeah, you can't get the backside.
Right. And Dan has a cup of water and he was like, let's shave him. And I was like, that's the equivalent of dry shaving. And speaking for somebody who was dry shaved, that's
not a good
rude
idea.
And cruel.
Yeah.
Do you have shaving cream? And he was like, by God, yes, we have shaving cream and a lot of it. I don't know why. So he brings out 2 cans of shaving cream and we get to work. We do the beard trimmer first.
Oh my God.
Because we don't want to clog up the razors.
Yeah.
We're drunk and we are thinking like
my God, you guys were on it.
We're on it. So we beard trim his hair. Also, then he had to sleep in the bed with his own leg hair. We had to do laundry anyway because of what happened next. So then we take and we like spray shaving cream on him. Still asleep. Still dead to the world. And he kind of does that thing where he's like slightly starfished.
Yeah.
So you can get pretty high up on the thigh on the inside.
No, you're good.
So we get to work. I took a picture of Dan doing it. There is not a picture of me doing it.
Oh no, because you're the one running the camera. Yeah. Smart choice.
So we get to work and we shave him from his ankles to the tops of his thighs to, I don't know why he wore bikini underwear, but he did. We shaved him. Just shaved him.
Oh my God.
So we go to bed. We've mission accomplished.
Yeah,
we go to bed.
You're done.
We wake up. My would-be roommate is on the couch awake. And I don't know what the fuck she's watching. It was like golf or the news or whatever. So Dan and I wake up. And we're like chit-chatting with Brandy. Brandy, I'm just going to use her name because nobody knows. Not you, Brandy, but this other Brandy. So Brandy has no idea what happened because she slept through the whole thing too because we were quiet.
Oh, yeah.
So we start having a conversation. I say to Dan, I'm gonna have to take a shower today because I need to shave my legs. I'm gonna wear shorts. I have to go up and see my fiance. There's nothing better than just like clean shaved legs. Like they're so soft when you rub them together. And Dan's like, yeah, I love it. Like girl's legs are soft and completely shaved. Brandy, do you need to take a shower and shave it? And she was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? We go on like this for a couple of minutes while Adam had just woken up. So I fucked up the story. But number one, Adam woke up shortly after us before we started this whole conversation. Adam did not, first thought in his head was not, where the fuck are my pants? Because I fell asleep in pants. So we're going through all this and Adam's looking at us and he was like, what the fuck is happening? And then he stretches and rubs his legs together and he goes, where are my pants? And we're like, we took your pants off so that you'd be more comfortable. And he was like, it takes him a minute and he like throws the blanket off and sees his nice bare legs.
Lovely shape.
Except for the backs.
Right. I mean,
he was like, he went off. As he should. I was like, wait. Calm down.
It'll grow back, dude.
Also, it'll grow back, but in Dan's defense, I wanted to shave your eyebrows off and Dan stopped that from happening.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're welcome.
Like he saved you.
In my defense, Dan wanted to dry shave you and I was like, we should probably use shaving cream.
So I saved you all the itchiness.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
He plays basketball. So like on the Air Force Base, there are basketball teams.
And he has to wear
I would
shorts.
call it like intramural. That sounds collegiate, but it is intramural. So he has to wear basketball shorts. And he comes back home and was like, fuck both of you. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I had to shave the rest of my legs because I only had hair on the backs of my legs and it looked weird. And then I had to explain to my teammates why I don't have any hair on my legs. And then we would get messages every once in a while and he'd be like, it's still not all grown out. And I was like, oh, by the way, growing out hair is itchy.
It sucks. It really does.
He forgave us. He came on vacation with us when we went to Virginia in 99. And this was in 98.
Oh, God.
So it was a year later. He forgave us eventually.
It grew back. It was fine. Jesus Christ.
I do miss him. Oh, I just remembered his name. I should write it down. I should text myself. So anyway, don't shave your friend's legs.
I mean, I feel like it worked out pretty well.
I think we got a good story out of it.
I feel like the lesson of the story is not to not shave your friend's legs. It's to not pass out drunk in your friend's couch.
Right? Don't be that person who can't remember.
Which I'm always the person that passes out on my friend's couch. So
I promise I won't shaving your legs would be pointless. I mean, you would thank me.
Honestly, if you shave my legs when I was passed out, I'd be like, oh, thank God I don't have to do that. Thank you. Keep doing that.
I have to message myself.
I'm like, man, if you shave my legs when I pass out, I'd be like, okay, so next weekend, can I pass out again? Is this a thing I can do on a regular basis? Because it's cheaper than a haircut.
It's starting to be cold. And I started like a month ago when it was still in the 70s. And I just shaved my legs this week.
I do it very periodically when like I know I'm going to wear something that I'm like, oh, like today.
I just don't care because men don't care.
No.
They like to say like they don't like hairy legs, but also it doesn't stop them from having sex with you.
No, it does not. And today I wore jeans that had like the little rolled cuff things at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, when I got in the shower this morning, I was like, all right, I need to shave like my ankles up to my knee.
I have to tell you that I was looking up my name to text message myself and I typed in his last name.
That's fantastic.
I'm smart like that.
I mean, that happens. Okay, so we're about at the end of our time, I think.
Yeah, I think we are.
And
so where can you find us? Oh, sorry.
No.
Go ahead. What was your and?
That was my and.
All right. So where can you find us?
Because I have a lovely sheet
We're
that I now
to finish this bottle of wine and maybe open another one before my husband comes to get me.
All right. So if you would like to find us on Instagram or Twitter, you can go to DBBL_podcast. Facebook and YouTube, it's DBBL Podcast. Or if you want to go to our website, dbblpodcast.com. Or if you would like to email us, dbblpodcast@gmail.com. And like I continually say, the best way to get a hold of us is on Twitter. So the DBBL_podcast on Twitter is probably your best bet because Mindy monitors that and I don't tweet, but she does. And that's the thing she probably pays attention to the most. And so do that.
Absolutely. So shout outs to Drunk Theory. They're a good podcast. I hate it. Let's watch it. Shit that happens to me. Fuck my work life. There are so many others. voluntary podcast or voluntary input. I swear to God, I want to say involuntary input every time. That is illegal. 2 Cents Critic with Arthur, and there are a handful more. We'll go ahead and post those. Also, we are going to post pictures after this releases, so you can see Dan shaving Adam's legs. And we'll once I listen to the episode, because I just didn't take notes, we will post more pictures on Instagram and Twitter.
All the pictures. Mindy's good at that.
No, I'm horrible at it. Instagram hasn't been posted on in months.
Let's be honest, I'm way worse than you.
This is true. We just quit doing Facebook altogether. Somebody said, should you do an audio only YouTube? And I was like, literally one person listens to that every time. And I think it's me.
It is an audio only YouTube. That's what we do. We already do an audio only YouTube. I post all of our episodes go on YouTube. And it's just because it's an automatic thing that I can, like, when I post the episodes, there's a thing that goes, do you want to post this to YouTube too? And I click a button and it says, yep. And then I hit submit. And so,
also we're available for guest spots. If you would like us to get drunk and join your podcast, send me the format. We'll pick a date and time. We do not do video.
We don't have to get drunk, but I will say it's our preferred method of podcasting.
Yes. Sober just isn't as fun. If you want this, there has to be alcohol involved. Also, so we don't do video, but we realize that we can video conference. So we can do that. That'd be fantastic. We did that for the first time with Arthur. So,
and that was fun. It was a good review. And then we went on for about 3 more hours.
Oh, God love him. I can't imagine how much he had to edit.
Oh,
so,
God.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Sorry, Arthur.
It has been a good night. We thank you for joining us, and we are going to head out of here. So, cheers. To bring cash the next time, right?
We'll play left or center.
All right.
Okay.
I believe I'm being done much earlier.
No, it's fine. I've literally been recording this entire time. Not that you can actually hear us, because I'm looking at the levels and I'm like, oh no, they're pretty low. But I just need to remember when I go to edit this, I need to cut out the first hour and 5 minutes. Which is fine, because I can see it on the timeline. I can see, oh look, that's when we started talking into the microphones.
Oh man.
I've had 2 espresso teenies and 3/4 of a bottle of wine, so I feel like I'm good.
I've had 2 1.5 ounce. Oh, I should tell you about that.
All right, I need you to push down on the end to tilt it up just a little bit.
Okay.
Perfect. Right there. Right. Perfect. Oh, there you are. Right there.
I've heard that before. Oh my God. I win. I got back here first.
Mindy just took a drink of rosé and it's
a little dry.
There's beer in there. There's mango beer. You want a mango beer?
I'm just going to finish this.
All right,
I don't want a mango beer.
You don't have to finish that.
I found out that I don't like mango a while ago. I think it tastes like soap.
There's other beer in there too.
I'm fine.
All right.
I'll get used to it.
All right.
It takes a minute. I thought rosés were sweet. I don't know.
No, they're not.
Carry on.
Most of them are not. But yeah, so I'm like, okay.
Normally, we only take a pee break in the middle. But I've had an extra fast clearing system.